it wouldn't start. None of these lights came on. What I'm going to need to do now is rewire this crank sensor wiring, but I don't have a spare one of these plugs. I want to go to the garage on my brake and see if ESTHER's dash is now working properly. I'm around the garage on my brake with ESTHER, my ST170 powered Mark 1 Escort. Sorry about the noise in the background. My neighbour has got his generator on. Yeah, she is a bit filthy. Probably doesn't show up from this distance, but yeah, she does need a wash. I've temporarily got the 6-dial dash hooked up. It's just sitting in there and I've wired it up, and it seems like the temperature gauge is now working. I do need to get myself another stalk though. That one's all bent up, and that one actually came off of the original fuel gauge because the one that was on there was even more bent up. So I don't know, maybe I'll be able to find one of these gauges on eBay. Yeah, it's really slow, but it is going back down now that I've turned the electrics off, so seems like it's working. Yeah, about a week ago I was playing around with the map. Obviously this car is running an ME221 ECU from Motorsport Electronics. So yeah, I was playing around with the map the other day just to get the AFRs somewhere near. And to get it somewhat accurate, I used this thing, which is a Gunson Colour Tune. Now the way this works is you've got a spark plug with a glass top, so you can literally see inside the combustion chamber when the engine is running. And basically, ideally you're looking for a blue flame. If you get an orange flame, it's running too rich, and if the flame goes white, then it's running too lean. Now on an ST170 engine, I think Zetec's are the same as well, you need to get their extension, which is this piece here and an Allen key. And basically you remove one of your spark plugs, you thread this in instead using the Allen key, and then you screw this into the adapter, and then this bit screws into there, and then you slide this bit over the top, and that basically means that the colour of the flame will be easier to see, because this basically, you know, shields all the light. Yeah, and basically you adjust it until the flame is blue, and that's what I did. Now I got this and the extension from eBay, and I'll leave a link to both of those in the description of this video. A mistake I made quite recently when I was running this engine was that I left a microfiber cloth on the exhaust manifold, so that's covered in, you know, melted microfiber cloth now, and it causes a lot of smoke when it's running, but I'll clean that up and re-polish the manifold at some point. Rob's just popped round to see me with his daughter. If you remember, Rob is the one that owns the 100E that I showed on the channel quite recently. I need to get back to work soon, so I'm going to put ESTHER away, but the next clip you're going to see should hopefully be me repairing the crank sensor wiring on MOREDOOR. Hello, right, so it's the next day, and unfortunately the plug for the crank sensor for MOREDOOR didn't come through the post today. Hopefully it will come tomorrow, but there is something I want to show you quickly. Now, because I've moved house, I need to apply for a new driving licence. I've lost my old one, so it means I've got to buy a new one, which is no problem. So I googled DVLA, which is the company that deals with licensing in the UK. DVLA licence renewal. Clicked on the first option, you know, not thinking about what I'm doing, and I basically went through all the steps of typing in my name and my previous addresses and all this, and I got right to the final screen, this one here. Now, it says the payment should be £77.59, which I thought was really expensive, but I was going to pay it. And then luckily I noticed that this here says España. So I thought that's a bit fishy. I mean, maybe the DVLA are using a Spanish company to take the payment. You know, I went about trying to get a phone number to phone the DVLA, but, you know, they're not really accepting calls at the moment. I think that's partly to do with the coronavirus thing. So I thought, well, I'm not going to pay it. And I then went and Googled, you know, gov.uk DVLA licence renewal. And then I got to the proper DVLA website. But yeah, I nearly got scammed out of £77.59. Now, I like to think that I'm quite internet savvy.
But yeah, even I nearly got caught out. So if you're in the UK and you're applying for a new licence, do be careful. Make sure you type in gov.uk DVLA at the top of Google, and then you should end up on the right website. Days and days have passed since the last clip, but I've had the bits through the post that should mean I can get moored back on the road today. So this is the new plug for the crank sensor, and these are the pins for it, and this is a rubber boot for it. And I've actually bought a few of all of those bits just so that I've got them in stock if I need to do a job like this in the future, because I think the injectors on ESTHER's engine use the same plug as this, so it's not just the crank sensor. I actually got all those parts from a company called Pole Vault, and I'll leave a link to their website in the description of this video. Obviously, I did ring Motorsport Electronics first, but unfortunately, they didn't have any of the 2-pin connectors in stock, and they sent me to Pole Vault. Right, so I've brought the crank sensor wiring around the back of the engine just to give me a bit more length to play with. Some of you might be wondering why I didn't just finally fit the ME100 last weekend, especially when I had this problem with the NODEs. Well, basically I want to save myself a job to do during the lockdown if I get bored, and also I want to make sure that the NODEs Pro is working properly before I take it off, so that then if I do sell it on or use it in a future project, I know that it's working correctly. So, time to get a new plug on this crank sensor wiring. Alright, so with the crank sensor plugged back in, it's now the moment of truth. Yeah, as you can see, the blue and green lights are now flickering on the NODEs Pro to show you that both sides of the coil are working. It's running really rough. It hasn't been running for like a week, so I'm sure it'll improve as it warms up. Now, seeing as I haven't driven her for so long, I think the shakedown run's in order. Is actually starting to slip now, but I'm glad to have her back. So me and my beautiful girlfriend Kat are now going on our daily walk, which is a legitimate reason to leave the house during this lockdown. If you thought this video was any good, please do give it a thumbs up and a share. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Click subscribe if you're new and you want to keep up to date with all my future uploads, and check the description for any links to any people or businesses that I've mentioned in this video. You can also find links to my socials down there, as well as my email address. And for those of you who want to purchase stickers to support the channel, details about that are also in the description. So other than that, until next time, stay safe and thanks for watching.